welcome to this week's edition of the Time Travel Review with your host Matthew Salzer, and today we're going to go over something that is going to not be thought of as something conventional when you're talking about time travel, but it is related to a movie coming out this month, and that is the Godzilla franchise. Yes, there's time travel in the Godzilla franchise. So, to start off, we're going to go back into the 1991 film Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, and in this movie, things get a little complicated. So, once again, we're going to do a tad bit of review. So, for those of you who have watched my channel before and this particular series, there's basically two types of time travel in science fiction franchises. There is the single timeline theory, where you are literally going from one point in the timeline to another, and then there's the alternate timeline theory, where instead of jumping one point in your timeline to another, you're jumping to another timeline entirely. It is identical in every way to the original timeline, except that the version of protagonist Pat's self is jumping to that previous point. Now with Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, we have the single timeline theory. However, it gets a little complicated. So for those of you who know, in the Back to the Future franchise, which also follows the single timeline theory, you have this situation where you can erase the original timeline and create a branch into a new timeline. This happens multiple times within Back to the Future franchise, and that's what happens in this timeline of the Godzilla franchise, keeping in mind, of course, that there are multiple iterations of the Godzilla franchise. In the 90s version, we have a group called the Futurians, which are essentially a group of Europeans who are not fans of the economic success of Japan. In this timeline, Japan ends up becoming the top economic power in the world. So they go back in time to remove Godzilla, because Godzilla was a part of that, and replace him with King Ghidorah, with the hopes that King Ghidorah would wipe out Japan as the economic power of the time. The only thing this does is beef up Godzilla, and he ends up defeating King Ghidorah anyways. King Ghidorah is brought back as Mecha King Ghidorah. They battle again, Godzilla defeats King Ghidorah, and yeah, just because he's in the franchise. But the whole point is that they went into the past, and in removing Godzilla from existence, they created this alternate timeline. Of course, this doesn't matter because we're on the Legendary Pictures Monsterverse, and we finally get to see Godzilla fight King Kong. It's actually a rematch, because the third movie for both monsters was actually in a movie called King Kong vs. Godzilla. It was the monster suits, so it'd be nice to actually see the CG. So far, it looks pretty good. Looking forward to watching it on HBO Max, because I live in California and there are no open movie theaters so far. So that's it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment down below what you think of Godzilla and what you think of the upcoming Godzilla vs. Kong, as the movie is called. Be sure to follow me at Matthew Salzer on both my Twitter and my Instagram, which should be listed down below. Be sure to subscribe. It should be on that part of the screen, and be sure to check out other videos which should be in that part of the screen. I love this new software. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.